Power Book 4 Force Season 3 has finally started, and I gotta be honest, I never expected such an action-packed beginning. When Mirkovic died and Mireya escaped from Miguel, I thought Tommy would finally relax, but it looks like the dangers are far from over. So let's take a look at the major details from episode 1 and see how these details might shape the massive action that's waiting for us in episode 2. Mireya saves herself. Honestly, the thing that surprised me the most in this episode was Mireya saving herself. I thought Tommy would raid Miguel's place and rescue Mireya that way, but I totally forgot how smart Mireya actually is. She didn't just save herself, she also made Tommy and Miguel promise not to kill each other. It was such a brilliant move, I gotta give it to Mireya. Will this end the rivalry between Miguel and Tommy? Of course not. Miguel versus Tommy. Yeah, this crazy duo made an agreement not to kill each other, but when it comes to running the criminal organizations in the city, we know no promise will be kept. And we saw the first sign of that right after Mirkovic's death when they both started fighting over the Serbians' Albanian clients. For now, Miguel has the upper hand, but we all know Tommy will do whatever it takes to take Miguel down. At this point, his biggest card will probably be Che. If he can show Che that he's more successful than Miguel, he might be able to take Miguel's operations with Che's help. And honestly, that seems like Tommy's only option right now. After all, we know he's not going to kill Miguel, right? But I think there's one more possibility, and that's Miguel and Tommy becoming full partners, and what could make that happen might be the new powers joining the big war in Chicago. Mirkovic Out, Ortega In. Yes, it's official. The biggest power in Chicago now is Ortega. I never expected Mirkovic to die right at the beginning of the season. I thought he'd at least get out of prison and face off with Tommy in the final war, but now it's clear that Ortega will be the main villain instead of Mirkovic. The fact that he managed to have Mirkovic killed so easily and got Claudia directly on his side were truly powerful moves. And let's not forget that he also attempted to assassinate Shanti and Tommy. Yes, Ortega failed for now, but I'm really curious to see what will happen when the Marquez cartel declares full war on the CBI, especially while Tommy's got other problems to deal with. The rats. All the power dynamics are changing, but Shanti and Gennard are still the same rats. Seriously, someone needs to stop them already. Their lives have been spared hundreds of times, yet they still keep scheming behind Tommy and Diamond's backs. Now, they're planning to send King Kilo after Tommy, Diamond, and D-Mac, and I really think Shanti and Gennard have become incredibly dangerous. As for another rat, Vic, I think he's completely lost all his power. Tommy and Diamond have really cornered him, and I don't see any way out for him. Now, Vic will be their biggest source of information about the FBI's plans, and I honestly can't wait to see the stress Vic will be going through. Episode 2. Alright, now let's move on to the one we've all been waiting for. Episode 2. The title of the episode is A Seat at the Table, and the synopsis goes like this. Tommy's ambition sets him on a dangerous path, testing his alliances and endangering those closest to him. As you can tell from the synopsis, Tommy isn't slowing down and he's diving right into danger. And from what we saw in the promo, he's officially started a war with Ortega. Let's take a closer look at that promo. The first scene we see in the promo is Tommy warning Che about Ortega, and I don't think Che will care much about it. He'll probably tell Tommy to handle it on his own because Che is smart enough not to mess with the Marquez cartel. But, of course, Tommy isn't the type to back off just because Che said so. That's why, as we see in the promo, he teams up with Diamond and goes straight to raid the Marquez cartel's spots. Even though Diamond had confronted Tommy in the previous episode, Tommy admitted he was wrong and apologized to him. That's why I think Tommy and Diamond are now solid again. In fact, we can see in the promo that Diamond chose Tommy over his own brother Gennard and even warned Gennard to help Tommy. But of course, Gennard is still frustrated that his efforts for CBI are being overlooked. So, he'll continue plotting with Shanti in episode 2. And we learn that their plan involves Shanti getting close to Tommy to reach Che. Honestly, I don't think Tommy will notice this plan at first, because he and Shanti were ambushed together and Shanti helped him a lot with the Claudia situation. So I think Tommy will keep Shanti close for a while. As for Vic, things are not looking good at all. First, we see someone trying to drown him, and then we see him, still wet, getting threatened by Tommy. If we put the pieces together, it looks like Tommy has cornered Vic completely over the FBI situation. Even though Stacy and the FBI are running tons of operations, as long as Tommy gets information from Vic, he'll always be one step ahead. So I don't think Tommy's going to get into trouble over this. And finally, let's talk about D-Mac. Out of fear of being killed by King Kilo, he wants to join CBI to get their protection, but we see that Tommy flat out refuses. However, I think if D-Mac gets hurt, Tommy will realize what's going on and start keeping D-Mac close to him. Tommy's the kind of uncle who would never abandon his nephew, right? That's why I believe King Kilo will finally enter the game and become a huge threat to D-Mac. All right then, now it's your turn. What do you expect from episode 2 of Force's final season? Did you enjoy episode 1? Let's talk in the comments. Meanwhile, if you're curious about what might happen in the new spin-off, Power Legacy, check out this video.